I want to bring in Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, welcome back to the program. Good to see you. You heard what was said there. If you want to pick on anything specific, go right ahead. Your reaction, sir?
Well, I think he's continuing to hammer the theme. The economy is doing well. He's also reminding people that as president, he has faced the most intense investigation that we've seen in perhaps forever. And he's still being able to perform his job. And I think he's basically saying, let's move on. Let's get this country going. Can't blame him for that. I mean, $35 million, all these investigations, what have they brought to us? Nothing. And I think it's time to get the country on track. Yesterday,
around noon, we reported that the North Koreans had submitted a bill of $2 million for the medical treatment of Otto Warmbier. This morning, the president says we didn't pay anything to get our hostages back. I think the president's responding there to a very touchy and provocative demand from the North Koreans. And he went right at it, Governor.
Well, he did, and he should. He should make it very clear to the North Koreans that they're more likely for us to supply them with nuclear weapons than us to pay them $2 million. If anything, they should issue a big, heavy apology to the Warmbier family, who went through a living hell over what happened to their son. And it's just an outrageous insult to the family and really to the United States of America that the North Koreans would try this. I don't even know what's behind it. They know we're not going to pay that. They know the facts are that Otto Warmbier was basically murdered by the North Koreans. And so why they would pretend that they're going to give a bill for his care, it's really disgusting.
He did go out of his way to say that China was helping with North Korea. And he appreciated Vladimir Putin's comments to the North Korean leader. He was very soft-pedaling his statements there about China and about the Russians. Any reason for that?
Well, it's complicated. The fact is we need good relationships with all of them. Each of them are sort of pieces of the puzzle. The big goal that everybody has, both Russia, China, as well as the United States, is to make sure that North Korea doesn't have nuclear weapons, because nobody believes that North Korea is going to help the world be a safer place if they get nukes, not just because of what they might do with them, but even more dangerously that they might start selling them to the Iranians or to God knows who. So that's why it is in the best interest of the United States to play this as a sort of triple front, presenting to the North Koreans that we'll do all we can to work with you, but you're not going to get nuclear weapons.
As you know, Governor, President Trump was on Hannity last night, and he said his team is looking into allegations that the Clinton campaign colluded with agents from Ukraine to dig up dirt on Trump's team. Roll that tape, please.
People have been saying this whole the concept of Ukraine, they've been talking about it actually for a long time. You know that. And I would certainly defer to the Attorney General.
Governor, he's flipped the script. Now he's going after Hillary Clinton now.
Well, it's not about going after Hillary Clinton, Stu. It's really about going after justice. If there were people who abused their power at the highest levels of intelligence and law enforcement in this country, and people who attempted to subvert justice and subvert law, then we need to know who they were, what they did, why they did it, and they need to be held accountable. It doesn't matter if it's Hillary Clinton or if it's Stu Varney. And I have a good suspicion that it was Stu Varney who was a part of this, and that's why we've got to get to the bottom of it. But truthfully, and all jokes aside, it is in the best interest of every citizen, regardless of one's politics, to find out who's dirty, who's not, and to hold people accountable for violation of the law, especially when people hold high positions and positions of trust.
I got to believe that when he arrives in Indianapolis and he addresses the NRA, I got to believe that today's stellar report on the economy will feature much more prominently than it did in his conversations with the reporters earlier this morning. Governor Huckabee?
No doubt.
Yeah, indeed, no doubt at all. I'm sure of that. Governor Huckabee, thanks for joining us, sir. We'll see you again real soon.